Yo, welcome to the Elite Table Talk, where we unpack health professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs, and just everyday people, and looking at their lifestyle, their mindset, their routines, and we see what they have done to help them move forward and really just get more time back in the day. Most people say there's 24 hours in the day, but there's really 16 because we sleep for 8. But how do we get the most of those 16? So grab a pen, get some paper, let's make some notes. Let's see what we can get from this episode today. Let's go.
Hello everyone, I'm Francesca, Florence, and I have a little business called Joy Fuel, which is growing and expanding very much at the moment. And I went to university, I studied nutrition and food science, and quickly realized that food science is all about processing food, and that is not really my core values. But the nutrition has been an amazing gateway into holistic health for me, and the way that it can deepen your connection with yourself and your relationships and with the universe. So I've really enjoyed how it's expanded my life, and I know that it has such a potent effect on everyone else, and my sort of passion is about sharing that knowledge and love to help other people enjoy their lives more. Yeah.
I thought it potent.
Potent.
I like that. Because obviously if you think of food processing, it's all about chemicals, and you're like, nah, I want the opposite of that. So yeah, it's powerful.
There's potency in everything in life, it could be an essential oil that's super potent, or a herbicide that's really potent. It just depends on what you're getting it from and your take on it.
Yeah. Just on that, if you were to have an essential oil smell, what would it be?
Ooh.
To like, this is
cinnamon.
Spicy.
I
like it.
Yeah.
That's nice. And take Whaley.
Yes, so when I was 16, I had really bad knee pain, and learnt a lot through that. Learnt a lot about taking care of my own body, and went to the depths of the pain and the feeling of being limited by your own body, because anything that we want to do is capped by our physical ability to do that thing, and it's very frustrating when your mental intention is held back by your physical limitation. And man, solving that for myself felt so incredible, to go from the lowest of the lows to better than I was before I ever got injured, and realized that I actually did pretty well in physics and calculus in school, but I felt like, why learn how to build bridges when there's people that want to jump off bridges? And I felt like physical limitation was something that really held people back, and I had managed to overcome that personally in a few ways, and just wanted to share that with as many others as I could.
And how would you build? So you wouldn't build a bridge. What would you build?
I think building people first, because we get to build all these external things, and there's a great quote. Who is it? Some guy, he was talking about man will continue to invent things outside of himself before he realizes that they are already available within him. And so much of what we get taught in school is all these externally useful things before we get taught how to internally be functioning first. And I'd rather build people, because that leads to better external creations anyway. It's like we're skipping a step, but if we get it right from the start, we could all be so much further along.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
So I guess the first question that we'll probably kick off with is, so we know a little bit about you guys, though Ali, I think, hit it, and yourself, you had a point or a time in your life when you probably realized, for me, my mum had MS, watched it destroy my family, and then I was like, I want to help people. And so we all kind of have this hero's journey where we go through the toughness and then we come out of that. I think what connects us, which is really cool, is that we all met a person called Dylan Fowler. And so I don't know about you two, though for me it was kind of I've met a lot of mentors, but he was one of those people that you've got people that believe in you, but then you've got people that are really believe in you and they've got your back regardless. And so they'll call you randomly and be like, hey, what's going on? Rather than, hey, our schedule calls at 11:30 every week. So, for me, he's one person that stands out that goes above and beyond. So, what is your hero's journey that led you to where you are? And then how did the person that connects us together, Dylan, kind of help you scale further? Because I would say we're all going to be great either way, but it's someone that's probably helped us condense that timeline.
My hero's journey is something I've thought about a little bit, and whenever I'm listening to people's podcasts, they often talk about how they had, like a really major life event or circumstance that really woke them up and really shook them. But for me, I'm blessed to say that it was quite a gradual understanding and awakening of my own that made me look at the healthcare system in a different way, essentially. And it wasn't a big health scare myself, but just sort of starting to open my eyes properly and think for myself, aside from what I was being hammered at university. And now that I look back on what I was taught at university from the basis of the World Health Organization, I just feel so frustrated, so my blood boils thinking about what they're trying to hound into us as nutritionists. And now being able to see for myself and through clear lenses of how we should be eating and living and treating ourselves, they are two very different understandings. But I think now that I have been able to see the light, I just know I want to spread that to as many people as possible. And just the depth of emotion that I feel in this state of health is just beyond anything I've ever felt before. And the light and the just clarity that I feel now is beautiful, and I just want everyone to feel that way. Yeah. So going back to Dylan and how he's connected us all, and I found Dylan through Keegan Smith's Instagram, and he directed me onto Dylan, and immediately I felt like a real just full body fuck yes to coaching with him. He's from New Zealand as well, and we just had real similar banter and were just cracking up at each other's jokes, and it felt very easy, and he wasn't trying to play me into his game. It was just how can I help you? Do we align? Do our purposes align? And I also love that he's in the niche of fitness. He's sort of been there, he's had lots of people through that, and he just knows the next steps always. It's not it's nah, sweet, or it's do this, this, and this. And I'm yeah, fuck, let's run it. So I really appreciate how his style and how relaxed it is. He's not trying to be someone and put on this front. He's this is how I operate, and he's got people under him who align with that method of operation. Yeah, I think it's really sick.
Man on a mission to be better himself. Versus I have it all, let me teach you.
Totally. And that inspires and encourages me to work from the level I'm at. That's been a big thing for me recently is share and teach from the level that I'm at, instead of being oh well, I'm not at this level, I can't teach, I can't share. Because no, it's throughout life we're all just learning, we're all just practicing being human, and we can share what we've practiced and our current knowledge, but with the intention of continuing to grow and being better, and we're all just on that same plane. Yeah, cool. So sick.
For listeners, any funny stories or highlights in the journey that you've been through? So you've gone from the food industry to now finding that potency and support and helping people, and then to where you are, you've met someone to support and nurture you, but help you realise, it's not, you've got to be here. It's no, you're on the right path, and you're just chipping away at it.
Any funny stories along that journey?
Anything that comes to mind? As you said, you didn't have that hero's journey of pain, but you've probably had moments of
Interesting question. I feel within my own personal journey, I've had so many moments like that have sort of really expanded the way that I think and the way that I feel. And I think there's been moments of particularly understanding that health is so much more than the way you look in the mirror. Like, I always used to eat to look a certain way. And one of those big understandings for me was that health there's not just one pillar. It's not just physical. Like, the way your physical health is super important and is kind of the root of all your other areas of health, because if your physical health isn't in line, you're not going to be able to connect to your spiritual and your mental health so well. But for me, the big moment was really understanding that your health it's physical, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's mental. And once I've started to tap into all the different health modalities beyond just the physical, my fucking world has opened up. It has seriously opened up, and just having that deeper understanding and it constantly growing and evolving in each modality and how I can expand each one, and my toolbox is just growing. I am sort of that person now who's got all these little things, these little trinkets and essential oils and incense, and I'm at a rave, so for example I'm at a gig and I whip out my essential oils and I'll breathe it in and it brings me into the present and expands my moment in time. I'm trying to romanticize each moment in my life, which is something I've clicked onto recently, and through health you're able to experience a more romanticized version of each moment.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. That was a bit of a tangent, but
no, it's good.
Yeah.
Ollie's hero journey.
Yeah.
So 16, pain, and then did okay through school, all well. Because it was in school, it's, what is it, okay, merits, excellence?
Yeah.
You get merits between merits and excellence?
Yeah, I mean, retrospectively, I feel quite similar to Cheska, whereas I didn't think I had these big ground-shaking moments that changed my perspective. But looking back on them, because I always had these mentors, these podcasters, where they have some huge significant trauma, or they were paralyzed for 3 weeks, or they were drug addicted or whatever, and I always felt I'm missing that. Do I not have the thing that takes you to that next level? But I feel retrospectively, you only see things as your life at the time, and you don't appreciate the significance of them at the time. And so I had a couple things that definitely formed and shaped my perspective going into school. I did all right. I got a scholarship to go to high school, and I took
no way, awesome.
Yeah. Took physics a year ahead, and then but I lost passion with that. Halfway through, I realized, these are other people's goals, and I've always done well in school because that is what other people told me to do. It's not because I have any interest in it, it's just because other people told me to do that, and then started not needing that validation and started looking for what actually satisfied me instead of what satisfied others' aims for me.
And then how did you become a knee expert though?
Yeah, so when I was 15, 16, I went from just playing soccer into doing rowing as well. And rowing's a brutal sport. It's the sport of going to the red line, staying at that red line for 8 minutes, and whoever suffers the most wins. And we were training 8 or 9 times a week.
Sorry, hang on. I haven't had a pain story, but you're whoever suffers the most wins.
Yeah, definitely. And even now, because my best mates from when I rowed, 2 of them now are in the New Zealand diving squad. The New Zealand Navy diving squad. So not Olympic diving, but they're the elite of the elite in terms of military fitness, and they find it easy because they talk about our rowing background, our sport, our training background, and whilst the other applicants were breaking down in the application process, they're the step below Secret Service, and they really excel because just that getting used to that, pushing yourself to the absolute limit, and that's what we did while we were rowing. And that broke me down because the philosophy is as hard as you can. The philosophy wasn't movement correctly, it was movement, lots of it, hard. And
regardless.
yeah, and the fittest survive, and it's a make or break system. And you know, we weren't like a very wealthy high school, and so we didn't have our strength and conditioning coach was an art teacher. Like that was, and she just copied Pinterest workouts, and we just went through it like that, and it was suffer as much as you could. And that really broke down my knees to the point where I couldn't run. Walking was painful. I had to warm up to walk to school. I had to put an extra pair of socks on to walk to school. And then I think definitely the worst thing was I was the captain of our football team, and couldn't train, I couldn't play. There were two moments actually. One was like the season beforehand, and I couldn't play because I couldn't run, but I still wanted to play. So I made them put me in goal, and then at halftime we were 9-0 down because I couldn't move for the ball. Like I couldn't step to save any shots. So I'd literally just be like really slow shots, and I'm watching it come up to me, and I'm trying to walk to get to the ball in time, and he hasn't even kicked it hard, but I just couldn't walk to meet the ball, and it rolls in behind me. And then the next season I still had the issues, and I was watching the team train. I couldn't even train with them, and then the ball rolls over to me, and just before I was trying to kick it back in, I was trying to do a step over, which is just like a fun play skill sort of move, and I just fell over instead because of the pain. And I was like, oh, I can't even play. Like I'm 16 and I've lost my movement to the extent that I can't even play. Like fair enough, I can't push to the top level, but losing the ability to play at 16, I realized I was like, I can't live an entire life where I don't get to play anymore. I was like, I couldn't accept that, and I think that was a massive catalyst for, okay, well I can't keep doing this, so I have to figure out something for my knees now.
And from stepping and falling, so like some people will be like, fuck man, you were broken, like couldn't even move. But the cool thing is you didn't let that stop you. You would warm up, you would prep, you would put yourself in a position so you could still show up. But a lot of people probably hide from that. It's really interesting, you know, your philosophy, it sounds like the philosophy is embedded in you from a long time, right? You know, you don't build bridges, you build the person, and that's how you kept showing up. From there though, how long did it take you to kind of get to the person you are today? Like you're quite knowledgeable, but like not in the sense of like you're hiding information, you're like, let me share. And it was really cool before we started this is that we were talking about something, you're like, oh actually let me just translate that a little bit because I feel there's something missing here. And we were all like, oh wow. It's like, yeah, that was really insightful. So how have you, like from 16, how have you rebuilt yourself to today? And like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it on that.
Yeah, it was quite funny because my nana, who's very not technology heavy, back when I was 13, 14, she found this random app. I don't know if it exists anymore, but it was a podcast listening app. And this was 7, 8 years ago. So podcasts really, they were around for sure in full swing, but nowhere near to the extent they are now. They weren't popular at all. And basically all that existed at the time was true crime podcasts and Joe Rogan. And I actually started listening to a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts, and that mentality was, okay, it's not what we've been told, it's what works and what the best information out there is. And you would have like geologists that potentially go against the grain of geology, which is a weird controversy, but it taught me like there's info out there that we get given, then there's info that works, and it doesn't necessarily have to be what we've heard over and over and over again. There can be better than that. So I felt like I was open to exploring because I heard these incredible people or these people that had alternative stories and beliefs to the mainstream approach to many things. And then when the mainstream approach, which was physio, chiropractor, acupuncture, my coaches, all of their advice got me nowhere or backwards with my knees, I said, okay, I need something outside of this. And one thing that I heard quite a lot was, don't let your knees go over your toes, just cycle it out. And there's a guy called Knees Over Toes Guy, and he was the first big proponent that said, actually, the opposite of the mainstream advice is true. We need to train our knees over our toes as much as possible. And when I heard that, and when I applied that, I went, because I'm very experiential, like I still hate research. I think experience comes first. It doesn't matter what the paper says if you can't feel that. Like, let's say some paper says, oh, gluten's actually not that bad for people. Okay, but if I feel like crap, and if my face puffs up, and if my digestion hurts every time I have gluten, I do not care what your paper says. I want to live this. And I found that cycling made my knees worse. I found that avoiding putting pressure on my knees made my knees worse. So I'm not going to continue to do that. And I've always wanted the best for myself. So I'm not going to tolerate anything less than that. I think I have an incredibly high standard for most areas of life. So I wouldn't tolerate less than what I want. And what I wanted was to get out of knee pain. What I found was getting me out of knee pain was separate from the mainstream, from the traditional route. And I really think that was my first exposure to, oh, okay, do what other people don't do and get better results than them.
So interesting how things both clicked for us once we went against the general grain. Yeah.
Like,
wow.
oh, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that actually works.
Yeah, and having that experience for yourself. That's why, like, everyone's so, what's the best diet, the most optimal diet for humans? I have tried so many diets for fun, dietary experiments, vegan, carnivore, like dairy-free, gluten-free, just because I don't really care what your paper says.
Yeah.
Like, I will see how my body reacts best and work for that.
Except for peanut butter and cheese.
No, it's a terrible combo.
Peanut butter and pickles, bro.
Oh,
Yeah.
dreadful. That sounds wild.
It's so good.
Pickles.
Cool. And so what was the point in time that brought you to Dylan?
Yeah, so I was working as a personal trainer. It was awesome. I survived my first year, which was hard enough, straight out of high school.
Survived.
Yeah, got thriving a little bit. Didn't appreciate it as thriving, but I always knew that I wanted to. I got full in person. I was doing 25 hours a week of 1 hour long sessions.
Wow.
And that's quite intense because, especially at the time when I was setting those up, I didn't have systems. So there's probably 2 hours that went into every 1 hour of training. So it was 25 hours of sessions and probably 50 hours outside of that of thinking about how to accomplish the session. And then I realized, okay, I can't do any more of this, but I'm not helping as many people as I want to. And when I want to go on holiday, my income stops immediately. And so I wanted the capacity to view more of the world without losing all of my income. And I wanted that from 19 to 20. I was too scared to make any real attempt on that. Yeah, I had a relationship that expanded my perspective and made me realize that was a better relationship than I thought I was capable of, and by a significant extent. And so I thought, oh, okay, I have a career that I believe is significantly better than I could do, but it is what I want to do. So now that I've hit this and proven to myself unexpectedly that I am more capable, more worthy, and more deserving than I had realized, why not chase the ultimate goal? Because the halfway goal is still very hard to work towards. I'm going to be working hard whether I'm aiming for the top or aiming for halfway up. I might as well start aiming for the top. And then because of that relationship, I ended up talking to Dylan about physical training. I wanted to get some physical training, but ended up realizing that he helped people achieve what I wanted to achieve. And so went down that route instead. And actually, I think I did 2 of his training sessions, but stuck to 2 of his physical training sessions, but stuck to the business side of things for over a year now.
So before I started working with Dylan, I knew that I really wanted to work for myself. I've always known that I am not meant to work under anyone else, and really just want to be able to maximize my human experience while spreading the knowledge I want to. So I was really like lost with how to start, like literally where do I start? I don't have a marketing degree, I don't have an advertising degree, I don't have like an accounting degree, all of that stuff. So I just wanted someone to be like, okay, your first step is here, your second step is here. And Dylan broke that down so well. Like after our calls, you know, when we have our one-on-one calls, he really gives you that, all right, so this next couple of weeks you're going to work on this, you're going to work on this, you're going to work on this. And it just makes it so clear and easy, and very just plain and simple. Yeah, he's great like that.
I realized that I valued time over money a lot more, and I felt like the best way to get the most out of my life was having the money to use my time how I wanted to. And I was in a position where my personal training had turned from something that was giving me freedom to a job that I resented. And man, 5 a.m. mornings in New Zealand when it was cold and grey in winter, heading towards a gym that I didn't like, trapped with people that I didn't like and didn't know how to get out of, I realized I wanted a higher level of freedom than I had been experiencing, and online always felt like that path. But I didn't want to be a random internet weirdo that scams people, does drop shipping, social media marketing, or you know, a lot of paths that seemed unrealistic, like trying to win the lottery on crypto or something. But I felt like I could work with Dylan to take me from trapped in this physical training, physical location job to giving more value than I had been in the past, because I could help more people, reach more people. Like I train clients in Canada, Spain now, and I just wanted to know how to help more people globally while helping myself. And I feel like I learned the business tools to become the person I wanted to be, which helped me do the help that I wanted to do, and eventually aim to circle that back around to my family and expand the world through coaching, which I feel like one thing Dylan says he needs to do more of is expand people's perspective, but he has already done that 1 trillion times over for me. So he thinks he needs to be better at it, but he very much already is excellent at it.
If you were to explain a little bit more about what you do and how you change lives, how would you explain it? Elevator pitch time!
Yeah. How I change people's lives. I think that in the health space, particularly nutrition, it's become so confusing. Like, if you're just wanting to be a little bit healthier, where the fuck do you start? Like,
with one of us.
Yeah, precisely. And that's why I'm here. I just want to like take the confusion out of it for people and make it like just a very straightforward path to being a better version of yourself. I think it has just become so confusing for people to get there and even just make a start, so people give up. And I know so many people who have personally, wanted to start and just don't make that basic first step because they're confused. So I really want to help people break that down and step into their personal radiance. Like, I feel like in the last few years I have had such a shift in personality. Like I was a huge party girl, and I used to love just sending it. And I feel like now I was worried to let go of that identity, because I thought to myself, who am I if I'm not a partier? Am I even that fun to be around? Am I like, are people still going to want to hang around me. But since letting that go and dissociating from that identity, I have I've become more interesting than I've ever been in my life. I hope.
I thought you were pretty interesting.
Oh, good, thank you. And just
Right, Oliver?
agree, everyone, 3, 2, 1.
Totally.
And where was I going with that? Just that I have become a more interesting version of myself, and wow, I really did lose my train of thought.
You're worried about dropping that identity
Yeah.
as a party girl.
Yeah. And I guess just having these tools of health essentially to like lean back on and to allow me to thrive more, really, and drop into that personal radiance. Like that's where, like I said earlier, health being the gateway for me, and allowing other people to see that there is so much more to this human experience than partying or drinking alcohol or these like surface level interactions, you know, like this, like what the hell is this world? Like, you know, you can't just take it for surface level or for what you see in the 3D reality. There is so much more to it. And through nutrition, I feel nutrition is the gateway, well it was for me personally, and I think that for a lot of people it can be the gateway into this deeper experience. And once you have that base of health, it enables you, you know, like it's sort of the chakra system. And if your root chakra is out of balance, then the rest of your chakras cannot be in balance or thrive. So kind of that's where nutrition is for me. Once you're clear, you're energetic, you're healthy minded, you then have the energy to leach into other areas of your life and expand in other areas of your life, whether that be your relationships with other people, your relationships with yourself, your relationship with the world and how it directs you. You can listen in, you can tune in to yourself and what the lessons and the learnings are from the universe. And with that clarity through nutrition, that's where that's where it helps me thrive. And I just want to help people with that, really. To get that passion and that excitement for life. Yeah.
Okay. Alright. I was someone that was trapped by my own body and by my own brain, and then I realized how insane it is to go from the lowest of the lows where you feel like you can't do anything to realizing that you can do absolutely anything, and there's only a matter of time, learning and skill in between where you're at now and what you want. So I take people from feeling like they're trapped, like they have no future, like they aren't going to be as good as they want to be, and really just help them unlock all of themselves. That always starts with the physical, no matter if it's the knees or if they come just looking for the mental. Whenever you have something out there, the information on injuries, on blockages, on life problems, I don't think is adequate. I don't think we help each other enough, and so much of the help that is disguised as help is actually just profiteering. And in the rehab industry, in the physical health industry, there's so many standards that are so low but so common that they're accepted, whereas when those treatments, when those methodologies didn't work for me, I felt like I had no other option. Now I've worked with clients that have had 1, 2 or even 3 knee surgeries, and they're worse than they are when they started, and they've been through all these treatments, they've been through years of treatments, even physiotherapists, psychologists, like there's so many different industries where the average practitioner, it's not their fault, but they just haven't been held to a high enough standard, and I feel like the result is the only standard that matters. So I help people go from in pain to no pain, and it's not a success until that has happened, whereas a lot of people get a treatment and they're supposed to be good, and if they're not good, they just get left and they get ignored. And that's simply because we don't have better information out there on healing And I'm wearing a t-shirt on the back right now which says unlocking passionate and purpose-filled lives, and that's what I do. That's what I wanted to do since I was 16. That starts with the physical, clearing up the injuries, clearing up the trauma of the body, which is so interwoven into the mind, but give physical evidence, and that allows us to believe that we are so capable. And unlocking movements that we couldn't do before makes us realize, oh, anything that is impossible or improbable right now, I can commit time, I can commit focus and energy into this thing until the impossible becomes possible. And once you realize that impossible is not permanent, it's simply a matter of time and focus till it's resolved, then you can do whatever you want to do. And that's all that I want for everyone, is not for people to settle for what they think they can do, but for them to achieve what they actually want to do.
Sick.
So we're going to rapid fire into programming a little bit. So we're going to work with you. What are we looking to see over the next, say, 12, 24 weeks? And Ollie and I are just going to kind of go back and forth with you.
It really depends on what their original goal is. Most people come in with the goal of weight loss, but end with a more comprehensive understanding of themselves and how to fuel their lives, their life force energy.
Does that come from the consult or through the journey working with you?
Through, I would say it begins at the consult for sure, but definitely builds throughout the journey.
So you teach people how to have a zest for life.
Yeah, I really do. I feel that. Like, I really feel that in my bones, that people are zombieing through this life, and once they identify that they want to make a change in their health, that kind of just unlocks all the portals, unlocks all the doors. And I just want to sort of highlight all these sort of intentional and mindful practices that people can do to enhance their experience.
Anything, so for example, for us, we understand the person and then we do a movement assessment, because the idea is the mind and the body. The mind wants this, but sometimes the body doesn't catch up. So it's like, cool, well, we could do all this, but let's get your body moving freely, so the mind and the body work together. So for you, what does that look like to get that zest for life back? Because it's not like, hi, zest for life, there you go.
Well, definitely in the consultation, it's I try to get a holistic understanding of the person's life and their stresses and their day-to-day life, and how their mind might be holding them back. A lot of clients come in and they say, I really want this, but I can't do it. And so it's highlighting those beliefs and bringing it to their attention, that they might actually be storing some limiting beliefs. And then I guess I really enjoy sharing my personal experience, because that's a point of relation. You know, people really take a lot out of, oh, well, she's just like me and she went through the similar thing. So I guess I like to highlight my experiences and show how the things that I've done to level up, and people realize how it actually can be easier than they think. It's not so out of reach.
What would it look like for you on the week to week for your work with a client?
So weekly check-ins, which it really keeps my clients on track, and I'm really able to deliver my froth for the topic. I'm really able to get across my energy in these video conversations, because I think the energy transfer is really important, and it's amazing you can get that over video. So just going over their week, how it's been, things that are holding them back. I have educational videos that I drip feed to my clients across the course of the course, and we do sort of daily videos daily photos of their food and how they're eating. I comment on those meals and steer them in the right direction. Hey, you could have more of this and less of this. How did that make you feel? And I really like to highlight or help my clients think about why they feel the way they feel. Is a big one. You know, people really do. They struggle to link the gaps and fill the gaps and why they're feeling the way they are. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I wonder why I'm tired. What did I have for breakfast? Oh, I had a sweet breakfast. Damn, that raised my blood sugar levels, and now I'm crashing later in the afternoon. Like, actually bringing to people's attention, how did that make you feel? Did that make you feel lethargic? Did that make you feel bloated? And then just like,
did it arouse you?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's important. What else do I do? Just deliver lots of good stuff.
Hype up their life.
Hype up their life, man. Just someone needs a hype man, and someone to hold you accountable is huge. Like, that's what a lot of my clients love, and I think we all need sometimes, until you can hold yourself accountable. Just someone to keep you in check and really keep you stepping in the right direction, somewhere they can flick a message and be like, yep, this is exactly where I need to keep going, or do less of, do more of.
Is there anything, so I feel like what we have I love numbers, and numbers don't lie, so we have this big spreadsheet that can show if you're moving in the right direction or not. And for you, you've got this really cool check-in system that it's not just like, hey, you're these numbers today. It's like highlights, wins, challenges, and also like that flexibility to check in with you if I'm feeling a bit stuck. So really, it's cool that it aligns with kind of the mission that you're on. I like that. Are there ever any times where you, I guess to rephrase this would be, you've done this for how many years now?
So, only about a year now. Yeah. But nutrition for the last 3.5 years before that. Yeah.
Is there, how do I phrase this properly? I would say, from the knowledge that you've built from an industry in the past, and now you're looking to help re-inform people, is that your tools, do you start with probably where people are at and nurture them? Like, how are you doing that? You said you've got some education each week in videos. How are you managing that based off each person? Because I imagine you don't just do the same thing for everyone.
No, yeah, and that's the thing that I love about my job is that I've never taught a client the same way. You know, everyone starts at such a different point. Their background or education or upbringing has molded them in a different way. So it's a very personalized thing, and this is why it is so important to have a coach, because they can actually understand where you've come from, where you exactly want to go, and can tailor it and design it perfectly for that. And I definitely do that. Like, I really try and meet people where they're at with their education, and some people really love the mindful practices and the more spiritual side of food and nourishment, and some people just want to look shredded. And I really have a good sense of people's kind of tolerance for that stuff. I try and if I think that there is room for kind of expansion, I might kind of dabble in some other practices and try and show them, you know, how it could be. And then some people are just super like on their path, and this is exactly what they want, so I can kind of stay within that lane and really just help them thrive with exactly what they want to do. It's incredible though to see the way that people's minds open after just a few weeks working with me. Like, they kind of realize that, whoa, I didn't actually realize that if I eat a meal with no distractions, if I actually just sit there outside eating a meal, I can taste every bite so much more. I feel the food, I can feel the nourishment that it's giving me. Like, that's a huge part of my courses, is how intentional can I be with my food practices? So it's not, how can I sit with my food and prepare it with intention, not beyond just fats, carbohydrates, and protein and calories. It's how can I nourish myself to a degree that's enhancing my life force energy, and eating it with intention, eating it with the knowing that it's giving me everything I need to pour more love into myself and into the universe. So going back to your original question, I think I like to push people's boundaries and see how they respond, and allow them to see that there is so much more that you can get out of food, but out of everything, you know. Yeah.
Without pushing them over.
Too far.
Yeah. Go.
And I guess for Ollie, it's, well, mate, shouldn't you be working with like 8 billion people? Everyone's got knees.
Everyone's got 2 of them.
Most, some unfortunately.
True. Very true. Yeah, I think most rehab is bullshit. Like, most of it doesn't work, and there's way too low of a standard for what's out there helping people. And what I do is I help people at a far deeper level, because there's a bunch of superficial stuff, a bunch of resistance band exercises that get given to grannies, but also elite runners like ultramarathon runners or soccer players or rugby players. And the rehab exercises that are being distributed aren't tailored enough to most people. And what I did was, even the people that I've learned all of the rehab from, it was still a very unclear process, and I really had to map out for myself how to move forwards and how to have capacity beyond what I currently had. And that's the confusion, that's the fear of injury, is we never feel like we're going to get better. So what I do is I've mapped out that path from fixing myself and fixing hundreds of other people's, so hundreds of other knees worth of information, because there's certain areas that must be looked at in order to take care of our knees, and there's certain strength standards that we must meet in order to meet our life's aim, because rehab should scale for us. Now, my rehab that I give to my nana looks very different from the rehab that I do when I'm personally competing in kickboxing, MMA, and that's how it should be. But we both started very, very similarly, because I was so debilitated that the strength standards I needed to build were simply the standards that would help me get up and down stairs without pain. I was walking downstairs sideways for over a year. I was going downstairs sideways, and I had a fear around stairs, the same fear that my nana now has and that we're working against. And so the rehab never stops, because it becomes strength and conditioning. Like, people separate the two, but my strength and conditioning prevents injuries. Some people's strength and conditioning is what causes their injuries. And again, that's outside of rehab, but that's another area where the information standard is just too low. Even at the highest levels, looking at youth athletes often go in and get ruined because they get a coach that simply hasn't been trained to think long term, or hasn't been shown the right standards, and makes it worse, not better. So I think I really just show people the path, show people the areas that they need to improve in order to have healthy knees, because expanding physical capacity expands mental, spiritual, emotional, financial, and relationship capacity as well.
When someone starts with you, is the, like, this is the joker in me, do you just go like, hey, do you have 2 knees? Yeah. Great, we can work together. But how does because there's a knee expert, you're probably not going to find a lot of shoulder issues. However, fascia in the body attaches to the whole thing, so someone experiencing pain probably through the left knee might feel more pain through the right shoulder, but the pain's more present in the left knee before you hear about the shoulder. I know you've got the skill set to help all of that, but how does a conversation start with you, with someone who's in pain with the knee?
I help people who've tried everything and nothing has helped them. Francesca sat beside me, has been going to physios, had tried a few different things, and the pain was gradually getting worse over time. And that's typically who I help most, is someone who's been through very, very lots of methodologies and still found no relief, and they begin to feel like nothing can work for them. Well, it's until you're dead, you can make progress in every area. My dad,
So she's a client for the next 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Locked in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Special price, 40 years up front.
Oh, yeah. And my dad, he's run a marathon every year for the last 11 years. And this year, as he's turned 50, he hit his PB. And he's not slowing down, he's speeding up as he ages. He's doing more correctly, he's doing more, and he's learning more. And that capacity to improve, you see all the time elderly people that do a powerlifting competition or a weightlifting competition, and those are some of the best videos on the internet because they show that no matter the age, there is always room for improvement. The capacity to build strength never ends, so the capacity to get out of pain never ends until we're in a coffin. But most people, they tell me they're old at 30. They say, oh yeah bro, I guess...
Why'd you look at me?
No, well, some people tell me, like, I guess it's just a part of getting old when they're getting some aches and pains at 30. And it's like, okay, you've got 40, 50, 60 years left potentially. How much worse are you going to let it get? Or are you going to realize now that there's never a time to let it go? There's always potential to build forward. So the people I work with will come into me and tell me what pain they've had. I don't really care what pain you're at right now. We need to know where you're trying to go to. And then once we know where you're going to, then there's a strength standard that you have to meet in order to get there. And it's like, I don't care what level you're at right now because we're going from the current level to the level you need to be. And it doesn't matter if you tell me I'm at step 0, I'm at step 3, I'm at step 5. That's almost irrelevant. We just need to get you from where you're at currently to where you want to be. It doesn't matter where you're starting because you just make improvement from wherever you're at.
It's really cool though, probably to add a little bit for you, is that you have a little sequence that you have with people that you actually presented on the weekend. That's why one of the reasons why we got you on. What is that process?
Yeah, so all rehab comes down to heal, lengthen, strengthen. That's a 3-step process, and everybody misses at least one of those steps. If you have an injury, it's because you're not hitting the right ratio of one of those 3 steps. So healing is about taking care of the trauma we already have within our body or our knee. Lengthening is making sure that our muscle tensions are adequate for our aims and aren't crippling us because of excess tightness. And strengthening is what everybody skips to, but it's actually the last step in the process. And strengthening is just making sure that we have the capacity within all of our muscle groups to push our bodies in the way that we want to without collapsing under those stresses.
Yeah. Questions?
Do you require like imaging before you take on take on a new knee patient, like MRIs and those like ultrasounds and things, and are able to work with them?
Imaging is always excellent, but there's nothing that can't be healed. And I was just talking to a girl 2 days ago, and she's healed her ACL entirely without surgery. And it's one of those things where that's not supposed to happen, and you can't heal cartilage. And then you do a little bit of your own research and you go, oh, there's no direct blood supply, but the blood still gets in there through diffusion. And it's like, no one even ever gets told that. And so the typical rehab barely scratches the surface, and imaging makes the path forwards clearer. But I almost, like I said before, don't care where you're at now. It's about where you want to go to. Imaging tells us what the obstacles are going to be on the road back to where you want to go, but we're going to get over the obstacles regardless because we have standards that we need to meet, and you will struggle with certain standards regardless of if we know the total root cause or the root image of why you're struggling there. There's always ways that we can get over the obstacles. Imaging is cool. Imaging is cool to have a before and after of, but not compulsory.
Essential.
Yeah, and it's sort of one of those things where it's like there's a whole bunch of red tape in the way of things, and it's like people will go through 6 months of scans before anything actually gets treated or done to them. And it's like, okay, we're going to be very diligent to never make things worse, but waiting for 6 months, that's neglect. And the whole get a scan so that you know what you're doing. Are we battling with ACC, it's called in New Zealand? Like, are we battling with Medicare, like trying to get this all sorted. How much worse has life become in the process of trying to get these scans, when we could have potentially already made things a lot better when we let the fear of making things worse actually end up making things way worse.
To wrap up, time-wise, how do we find you guys?
Instagram. My little handle is called _joyfuel. The name is kind of just like fueling your joy, or joying your fuel. Joy fuel, Instagram. Yeah, that's it really.
Slide my DMs.
Yeah, slide my DMs. Give me a follow.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Climb That Hill. I have a YouTube page called Climb That Hill as well, and Climb That Hill is, the more I achieve, the more I built personally, the more I realized there's always going to be these hills and obstacles in our life, and we have to get through each of them. The journey of the climb is the rewarding part, and that constantly pushes us to higher and higher places, and my last name is Hill, so that's how it went.
Nice.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Cool.
Till next time.
Yes.
Adios.
Thank you,
Adios.
Carl.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into that episode. Hope you really enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and also to share so we can help more people. Now, with your pen, you've probably written down heaps of things, but the things like myself, like there's blank pages, but pages, got lots of notes. What are the top 3 that you got out of today's episode? If 3 is too much, action on one thing and just see how it goes for you for this week, and make amendments and adjustments so you're constantly improving and refining it and moving forward in your health, your training, your life. If you ever get stuck, reach out to us at info@vitruvianhealth.com.au. Always here to help. Till next time, adios amigos.